Oh, fuck yes, we got the camera out. So, look at me. I'm over here with my new workspace out here in London. I just moved flats. So, it's been quite a hectic past few weeks, but honestly, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm very happy with how it's turned out. There's a lot of aura in this corner of the apartment, shall we say. But yeah, we've been packing up. I've been deep in trying to really build up new assets for a new offer that I'm launching, which is not the topic of this video. But while I was doing all of this research and trying to look for the best creators out there who are really making a killing in the info space, there was one concept that I fell into which I really wanted to share, and I created a whole mirror board and structure to it because I think this is one of the most important things or the important changes that is happening in content marketing in today's world. And I think we're going to see almost every creator in this space move towards this flywheel model in the next few months because whoever doesn't adopt it, I am almost 100% sure is going to fall behind. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. It's the concept of the content flywheel and what it actually is and why it's so powerful today in getting sales if you're selling a consulting or info product, and why you're going to need it, and also why soon this flywheel approach is going to be not a nice to have but a need to have if you ever want to launch a business in the online space. So let's dive right into it. So there are a few people out there who are using this flywheel model in the online space who are making a killing out of it. The first one is a client of mine called Saul Hyde, also a very good friend. He uses what he coined the trust building ecosystem. And there's another creator which I very much look up to as well called Tom Youngs. He makes over 100 grand a month, sells a very, very high ticket consulting program. And he has, I would say as well, one of the most perfect flywheel models you can see out there in the online space because he closes 10K plus tickets without any sales calls. And that is thanks to the flywheel that he has created. So let's dive into them together for a second right now. Right? So first, let's talk about my client Saul. I'm gonna pop his profile up somewhere here, and I'm gonna walk you through the basic concept of how he approaches marketing and warming up leads. But before we get into that, I think it's very important to understand what it takes to get a person from not knowing you all the way to wanting to pay you thousands and thousands of dollars despite having never met you. So Google launched a study a few years ago. It's called the 7-11-4 study. And this is very important because they looked at all the data in their entire database, which is fucking massive, and they wanted to figure out what were the metrics that most customers reflected when they bought from somebody on an online store. And they found that in order for somebody to go from not knowing you to be a paying customer, they needed to watch 7 hours of your content. They needed to have 11 different touch points with you. And they needed to have those touch points spread out over 4 different locations or platforms. So when we look at the hours, that's simple enough. That's amount of hours of content consumed. That is also why when you look at podcasters like Lex Friedman or Joe Rogan, whenever they are sponsored or whenever they make ads, their sales are fucking crazy because people trust them so much. It feels like, love him or hate him, you know Joe Rogan, you know who he is. You've seen him so much and you've listened to him so much that you kind of know him as a person. You've developed that sense of trust, right? You've created this parasocial relationship with him. And we've managed to do that because he's chosen such a powerful medium of podcasting. For creators online, it's the same thing. Whenever you've bought from somebody, I can almost guarantee you that you've seen quite a few YouTube videos from that person, as opposed to just watching 60-second Instagram reels, because the trust you're building from a YouTube video over multiple minutes is just so much more powerful than a 60-second short form piece of content. And afterwards, moving on to the touch points, is that 11 touch points, right? You have a touch point on Instagram, touch point on the DMs, touch point on emails, touch point in a ad that you see. So the more touch points you can provide for your potential client or customer, the more likely you're going to move them towards from that conveyor belt of being cold towards being warm. And lastly, obviously the locations goes without saying. If they see you on Instagram, YouTube, email, ads, real life, or a Zoom call, all of those different locations create that sense of immersion to form trust in you. So going back to how people are doing this online, right? Saul, my friend and client, he uses his ecosystem and his flywheel to get people into his Instagram, which is his main center point. And what he does is once people get in to his Instagram, because Instagram is a platform that allows you to target people who are outside your profile. The algorithm does that. So by shooting follow ads, by shooting a lot of viral content, you're just getting people into your ecosystem, but you're not relying on that content to actually close people. Once people get into the ecosystem, that's where the magic occurs. You are now warming them with your short form content, and also words you're using your stories to get people to raise their hands to get to access different resources, to access maybe one-on-one calls. And then you're using that flywheel to basically get people into your profile and then bounce them around your long form content, your resources, your results, your value, and you're keeping them turning in the system so that by the time they've been through your 7 hours of content, 11 different touch points in 4 different locations, they are now ready to be your paying customer. And then all Saul does is he shoots an Instagram story where he allows people to raise their hands and starts and then books them onto a call to see whether or not they're ready to work with him as a client. And right now, there's that system I've seen work amazingly. When we were working together, we built a DM system to help him with that generated over 27 grand in direct revenue, maybe more now since we last spoke together. And that month, he also made 55 grand. So that is not nothing. And there's one second flywheel that I wanted to break down over here. And that is the one from Tom Youngs. All right, let's run this, guys. So over here, this is for my own research, but I feel like it was important enough to walk you through this over a video so you can kind of understand how a flywheel works. And in a sense, it's actually one of the most simple things ever because you're basically setting up a self-governing system that moves leads forward to the next stage of warming by itself without you needing to do anything. It's set up in a way where people can just keep on going over and over and over through bits of content until they feel sufficiently ready to make a purchasing decision, right? So let's go ahead and break down what it looks like. And the goal here is for you to create this self-reinforcing loop so you can start building an ecosystem of confidence and trust in your customers, right? So let's start with the profile. So Tom's profile is like many others. He's got his results at the bottom over here. And then he's got his one-liner tagline. And then this is what I've seen a lot of people do these days as well, is that they have a top of funnel YouTube VSL. What this means, I know it's a mouthful, is that typically when you'd have a VSL or a video sales letter, you would create it on a landing page and people would only be able to access it right before they booked a call with you. So one thing that is different over here is that they're taking the video sales letter and putting it on top of their funnel, which is easily accessible on their YouTube channel. This is something that Iman Gadzhi did a while back. He made it very famous and he printed millions of fucking dollars using that strategy. And now I'm seeing more and more people adopt it, which is interesting and it goes to show that it works, right? So this VSL, okay, this is where he is basically pitching his offer. He is walking through his entire offer. It is the mechanism to convert you from a non-paying customer to a paying customer, right? This is his main sales mechanism. And as you can see, I mean, we don't have the view count over here, but there was over 80,000 views on this video, whereas the rest of his videos were going anywhere between 5 to 10K. So he's obviously driving traffic towards his video from all of his different sources. So from his Instagram, he is sending everybody towards his YouTube top of funnel VSL, and he's also getting his people to watch his short form content. From his short form content, just to kind of reinforce this, he has a keyword CTA where he's telling people to comment roadmap for a full roadmap on how to hit a promised result, and that he would send them an email with the entire resource. So when you come in Roadmap, you get an auto DM that, number one, asks for your email and then sends people over to the mini VSL. So from his short form content, he is also sending you towards his VSL over here. After that, on this video, you have in its description, let me actually go ahead and find this for you. So I'm gonna pause this real quick. So yeah, as you can see in his video description over here from the very same video, he's got 3 CTAs. He's got DM me 77 to work with me. He's got join my school group, and he's got here are the typical FAQs for joining my paid program. He's essentially handling objections over here. So from this, we can go either to his DMs, to his school, and to his FAQs. So what happens now is, let's say we were a potential viewer. We went through his profile. I went through his short form content. I commented Roadmap. I gave my email. I watched this YouTube video over here, and then I wanted to join his school group, right? So I joined a school group, I gave my email, and on this occasion, I also gave my email. And then now I've just gone ahead and basically opted in for his email list. So Tom Youngs, he uses email as his bottle of funnel, where he's sending out 3 to 4 emails per week, and he's basically using them to share more value and nurture us and to push us forward in that 7-11-4 model so we get close towards being a paying customer. And then what happens when we opt into his email is that he CTAs a YouTube video on every email. And obviously, since we got value here, most of us are going to click on his YouTube video. And then once we hop in his YouTube video, guess where we land at? Either his YouTube VSL, the exact same one as the above, his school, or his Instagram DMs. And just to help you visualize what this does is that it's just going to be a self-reinforcing loop where every time we hop on his YouTube VSL, we're going to hop back onto an email. Then we're going to hop back onto another YouTube video. Then we're going to hop back onto another YouTube VSL, and then so on and so on. So with this system, as you can see over here, it just keeps on going. It doesn't stop. And then what this does is that it will continue warming you as a lead, warming you as a lead, warming you as a lead, until you've trusted Tom enough to be like, all right, I'm convinced, I want to work with this guy. And whenever you hop on his CTA over here, which I literally just had, the one in his description where we have the choice to either go to his Instagram, to his school, or to his FAQs. In this case, we'll finally be like, hey, I'm ready. I want to work with you. Let me go ahead and comment 77 over here and work with Tom. And that's when he'll send you over his offer doc and you'll go through his final sales process. But just to recap everything, right? This system, you never leave. You're never going out of it. You're always staying in and getting warmed if you want to, obviously. There's no point in time where you just get into the VSL and then you leave and you're twiddling your thumbs. Tom keeps on moving you forward into his content ecosystem to the point where you're building so much trust from this flywheel that you're ready to work with him without taking any sales calls. So the way you apply that for yourself is very simple. You just go ahead and watch what I showed you, and you are using your CTAs, you're using your Instagram, and you're using your YouTube to point your leads to different directions where they keep on going through your pieces of content. And all you need to do is just copy what I showed you with Tom's YouTube, Instagram DMs, school, and email. And like that, you can create yourself a self-reinforcing loop.